Two people start the exact same backyard operation on the exact same morning. Same animal, same cage, the same feed bill, the same number of hours every single day. 12 months later, one of them is netting $1,100 a month from a spare room. The other one quit in week 9, convinced the whole idea was a con and that the numbers online were all made up. Nothing separated those two people except a handful of quiet decisions. Not luck, not land, not money. Decisions. And here is the part that should stop you in your tracks. Every one of these profit-killing mistakes is completely invisible while you are making it. The animal looks healthy. The bins look full. The shelf looks productive. The spreadsheet even looks fine. And the money just never quite turns up. By the end of this video, you will know the 7 mistakes that bleed a backyard animal operation dry from the inside, why every single one of them feels perfectly sensible at the time, and exactly what the operators who earn real money do instead. Every figure here is tied to a documented operator in a named state. This is not guesswork. This is the post-mortem on why most backyard income systems die long before they ever pay you back. Stay right to the end, because the 7th mistake is the one that takes down the people who got the first 6 absolutely right. Mistake number 1, and it is the most expensive one on this entire list: selling your product at the commodity price. Picture a homesteader in Wisconsin running 150 Coturnix quail in 12 square feet of cage. 12 square feet. That is less floor space than a standard dining table. That operation grosses between $750 and $1,100 a month on a $45 feed bill. Now, here is where almost everybody quietly throws the real money away. They sell eating eggs. $6 a dozen. It feels honest. It feels fair. You shift them fast at the farmer's market and you feel like a proper producer. But the exact same birds, in the exact same cage, eating the exact same feed, lay hatching eggs that sell for $12 to $24 a dozen. Same egg, one word changed on the listing: hatching instead of eating. 4 times the revenue for 0 extra work, 0 extra feed, 0 extra birds. The Wisconsin operator built a hatching egg first model and doubled the monthly gross without adding a single animal. And it is not just quail. A rabbit breeder selling processed meat at $10 a pound is leaving the pedigree market completely untouched, where breeding stock moves at $60 to $150 an animal. A beekeeper selling only honey is ignoring nucleus colonies, where a single nuke equals the revenue of roughly 20 pounds of honey, and most beginners work 20 times harder than they need to. The mistake is treating your animal as a commodity, when the same animal, sold to a different buyer with a different word on the label, is a premium product. Commodity buyers set the price. Premium buyers accept yours. Always find the version of your product that someone is desperate to pay a multiple for, and sell that one first. Which leads straight into mistake number 2. Building the production side before the sales side exists. This one feels like progress, which is exactly why it is so dangerous. You buy the breeding stock, you set up the cages, the animals do what animals do, and suddenly you have a litter, a hatch, a colony, all of it multiplying right on schedule. And nobody to sell it to. A 12-doe rabbitry in eastern Tennessee runs 1 buck and 12 does out of a converted shed and grosses $600 to $800 a month, with first income arriving 31 days from setup. 31 days. That is the fastest time to first dollar of almost any backyard animal there is. But that only works because the buyers were lined up before the first litter ever hit the ground. Rabbits multiply fast. If you breed before you have locked in 1 restaurant, 1 farmer's market slot, or 1 standing buyer, you do not have an income operation. You have a shed full of animals you are now paying to feed with no way out. And the cost is brutal and quiet. Meat accumulates, feed keeps draining. The animals sail past their prime processing weight, and you are paying 50 cents a day per animal for 0 added value. The dubia roach seller in Atlanta cracked this the right way round. He secured a standing monthly purchase order from a local exotic pet shop that buys every nymph he produces, and only then did he scale the colony to match the order. The buyer came first. The production matched the buyer. Get the order before you get the animal. A confirmed buyer turns livestock into income. An empty buyer list turns that exact same livestock into a liability that eats every single day, whether it sells or not. Mistake number 3. Buying cheap stock to save money up front. This is the one that punishes you slowly, over years, long after you have forgotten the decision that caused it. The $50 Craigslist rabbit, the bargain bin chinchilla, the cheap koi fry, the discount hatchery exhibition bird. It feels clever in the moment. Why pay $200 for a breeding animal when there is one going for $50? Here is why. In the Angora rabbit world, poor genetics produce matted fiber that cannot be drafted, cannot be spun, and cannot be sold. And that same poor genetics causes wool block that can kill the animal outright. You buy cheap once, and you pay for it for years. In koi, the operators making real money start with quality breeding stock, because cheap parents produce commodity tier fry that land you in the $25 bracket, going up against farms producing 500,000 fish a year. You lose that fight every time. And yet one single koi from strong genetics has sold for $35,000. Same pond, same water, same quarter acre. The only difference was one breeding decision made 3 years before the first sale. In chinchillas, it is identical. Launch with standard grays, and you drop into a market with hundreds of backyard suppliers all undercutting one another. Rare morphs, blue diamond, black velvet, those compete in a national market at 10 to 30 times the price. The genetics are the product. The cage, the feed, the daily routine, those are all the same whether the animal inside is worth $20 or $2,000. So spend the money where it actually compounds. Cheap stock is, without exception, the single most expensive thing you can buy. Mistake number 4 is the twin of that last one, and people make it for the exact same reason. Buying juveniles instead of breeding age adults to shave the startup cost. On the spreadsheet, it looks like a saving. Young dubia nymphs are far cheaper than adults. Young animals cost less across almost every system. So you buy young, you feel frugal, and then you wait. And wait. Dubia nymphs take 6 to 12 months to reach breeding age. That is 6 to 12 months of feeding, heating, and housing an animal that is producing nothing and selling nothing. The seller who buys adult breeding stock has income in month 1. The seller who bought nymphs to save $80 has income in month 8, having paid more in feed and heat across that gap than the adults would ever have cost in the first place. Same trap in mealworms. Same trap in isopods. Same trap in just about anything that breeds. Your startup cost is not the number you should be obsessing over. Your time to first dollar is. Every month an operation runs without revenue is a month of pure cost with absolutely nothing on the other side of the ledger. And that dead time almost always dwarfs the few pounds you saved buying immature animals. The operators who win treat the faster, pricier adult stock as exactly what it is, the cheaper option, because it collapses the gap between spending money and making it. Pay a little more to start earning sooner. Almost every time, that is genuinely the cheaper path. Quick pause because we are at the halfway mark, and the next 3 mistakes are the ones that separate a hobby from an income. If even one of the first 4 has landed, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. This channel breaks down verified backyard income systems with named operators and real monthly figures every single week, and it costs you nothing. 2 seconds. Right, on we go. Mistake number 5. Single revenue stream thinking. Running one animal and selling one product off it. This is the mistake that quietly caps your ceiling without you ever realizing there was a ceiling there at all. Take Nigerian dwarf goats. Sell the raw milk alone, and after feed and regulation, you are barely covering costs. The milk on its own is a feed subsidy with extra steps. But convert 70% of that milk into goat's milk soap, and a 3-pound batch becomes 24 bars at $7 wholesale, $11.50 retail. One Tennessee operator turned liquid milk that spoils in days into a value-added product with a 90-day shelf life, and pushed her monthly soap revenue past $1,400. Then added registered breeding stock sales on top of that. 3 income lines, 1 herd, same feed bill. Same story with crickets. Sell them live as feeders, and you are pinned at 2 cents a cricket, competing with every other feeder seller in the county. Dry them and mill them into cricket flour, and you are selling to protein bar makers at $45 a pound, a 20-fold jump in value from the exact same insect. Silkworms hand you silk fiber for art supply buyers and live pupae for the reptile trade from one single tray. Mealworms give you live worms, dried worms, and frass, 3 completely separate buyer categories from one bin in one room. The animal is just the engine. The money is in how many products you can drive off it. One animal, one product, is the slowest possible road to the lowest possible ceiling. The operators clearing 4 figures from a single spare room are almost always running 3 product lines off one animal, not 3 animals off one room. Mistake number 6, skipping climate control. And this one does not just cap your income, it deletes it overnight. Every breeding system has a temperature window, and step outside that window and production does not slow down, it stops dead. Mealworms stop reproducing below 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Not slow, stop. A Knoxville seller running 22 bins in a spare bedroom grosses $1,100 a month, and the entire thing rests on a $30 space heater sitting on a thermostat. Skip that heater to save $30, and the colony stalls clean through winter, and the 4-figure income stalls right along with it. Dubia roaches need sustained warmth above 70 degrees to reproduce at all. Now flip it the other way, because heat is just as deadly as cold. Chinchillas die above 75 degrees Fahrenheit. They cannot survive outdoors in most of the country, which is precisely why they run indoors, stacked vertically in a climate-controlled room. One California axolotl breeder lost his entire first batch to a 78-degree garage in summer, because axolotls die above 72. That is not lost profit. That is dead stock, gone in a single hot afternoon with no way to get it back. The mistake is treating climate control as an optional extra you will sort out later, when it is actually the cheapest insurance policy in the entire operation. A $30 heater protects a $1,000 monthly income. A $200 chiller protects breeding stock worth thousands. The temperature does not care about your plans, and it does not negotiate. Get it right before the animals ever arrive, monitor it constantly, and never, ever let a heat wave or a cold snap be the thing that ends your operation. And that brings us to mistake number 7. This is the one that takes down the people who got the first 6 absolutely perfect. Scaling everything at once, instead of stacking one profitable layer at a time. It is the most seductive mistake on the whole list because it does not arrive looking like a mistake. It arrives looking like ambition. You have read all the numbers: quail, rabbits, roaches, mealworms, isopods, bees. So you buy all of it in the same month. You set it all up at once, and you try to run 6 animals you have never kept before, all at the same time, with no buyer relationships for any of them. And it collapses. Not because the animals failed, but because you built a crisis instead of a machine. Here is what the operators netting $3,500 to $4,800 a month actually do. They start with one animal. Usually isopods, because the startup is under $350, the feed cost is essentially zero. They eat decaying leaf litter you collect free from any yard or any park, and the first cultures sell inside 60 days. They get that one layer genuinely profitable. Then, and only then, they add the next layer. And here is the quiet magic of it. Each new layer feeds the one before it. Spent isopod substrate becomes dubia roach bedding at zero cost. Quail manure feeds a black soldier fly bin, and the larvae out of that bin go straight back into the quail cages as high-protein feed, cutting the feed bill by 25 to 40%. The frass becomes free fertilizer. Mealworm frass becomes a feed supplement. Nothing leaves the system. Every layer makes the layer before it cheaper to run, until the cost structure of the whole operation quietly collapses down to almost nothing. But, and this is the entire game, that compounding only works when each layer is profitable before the next one is added. One gear at a time builds a machine. Everything at once builds a crisis. The people who fail at this are almost never the ones who started too small. They are the ones who tried to start with everything. So there they are. The 7 mistakes that quietly kill backyard animal profit. Selling at commodity prices when a premium buyer is sitting right there. Breeding before a single buyer is confirmed. Buying cheap stock that costs you for years. Buying juveniles to save a few pounds while you bleed cash through the dead months. Running one product off one animal and capping your own ceiling. Skipping the $30 climate control that protects a $1,000 income. And scaling everything at once instead of stacking one profitable layer at a time. Now notice what every single one of these has in common. None of them are about the animals. The animals almost never fail. The decisions around them do. Pricing, sequencing, genetics, timing, diversification, environment, and patience. Get those 7 right, and a spare closet, a shelf, and a small outdoor run will out-earn a great many full-time jobs. Get them wrong, and you will do everything the videos told you to do, and still quit in week 9, convinced the whole thing was a con. So if you are running a backyard operation right now, do me one favor. Look back over this list and be honest with yourself about which of the 7 is costing you money today. Then drop a comment and tell me 2 things. Number 1, which mistake is the one you have been making? Number 2, which animal you are working with? A shelf, a closet, a spare room, or a backyard run? Because every situation has a different fix, and I read every single comment that comes in. And if even one of these saved you from a mistake you were about to walk straight into, hit subscribe, because the next video breaks down the exact 60-day launch sequence for your first animal, from setup to first sale, in the precise order to do it. That one is already in production. I will see you there.